All right, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Chisholm City Council for July 22nd, 2020. Good evening, everyone. Margaret, could you take roll call, please?
Councillor Lance.
Here.
Councillor Fountain.
Here.
Councillor Baki.
Here.
Councillor Varda.
Here.
Councillor Campbell.
Here.
Mayor Champa.
Here. Adopt the agenda. Council, we hate to do this, but we got 3 weeks till the next meeting. A couple of things came in late. We really need to take them up. Does Dave Mack, that's up under public participation, he won't be joining us tonight with the governor's order, statewide mask mandate. He didn't feel the need to speak, and so he's not on. But we got Dan Marriage with Snowmobile Club wants to speak with regard to an item. So we're going to add him to public participation. And then we'd like to take up that Snowmobile Club request as a second item under Mandy, just so Dan can get in and get out of here so he doesn't have to sit through the whole meeting. And then another item that came in late today that's a time sensitive, a request for a grant that I think some of you probably see. I think it came across your email, but we put that as item number 5 under Bill Manny. So I'd entertain a motion to adopt the bill. Is that everything?
Everything I have, Mayor.
So I'd entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with those couple of changes.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor, to adopt the agenda with those changes.
Okay. Councillor Fountain, second.
I'll second that.
Councillor Campbell.
Yes.
Margaret, could you take a vote on the agenda, please?
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Baki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that's adopted. Public or Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States.
of the States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. You did good there. Public participation, we have Dan Marichon. As you can remember, we have we sold a lot to the Snowmobile Club to put up a new building earlier this year, or I don't know when we did, earlier anyway. And when they were looking at laying out the building layout there, they realized there's actually a very small parcel of land. You got it in your email. You should have had the map in your email. It looks like a sizable piece of property, but if you actually go look at it, it's a completely useless piece of property because it's mostly a rock hill with a little triangle, basically, that Dan will be able to utilize, from what I can tell, looking at the corner stakes of the other lot. But I'll open it up to Dan in public participation, let him so he can talk about it a little bit. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Councilors, Administrator Manny, and staff members, thank you for allowing me to join you here this evening. As the mayor said, yes, I was before you earlier this year, and you have been very supportive, and we're appreciative of that. But upon laying out the land and staking out for our building, we realized that it would be advantageous if we could acquire that parcel. It would be like to the east, southeast of us. And only for the reasons, the positive reasons of situating the building properly, east and west, so that we would have the opportunity to potentially add on to that building and grow with it if we need to. It would also allow us enough room for snowmobile safety training, which has been very requested of lately. And also we would provide that room for the ATV club to provide their safety training if they want to do that. Also, there are times, a couple times at least throughout the year, at least twice, where we have to load up some of our equipment, take one of our groomers and drag up to Side Lake. Paul Sucho is our operator up there. He has been for years. So there are times when we have to load and unload at that new building. And it would be much easier if we could situate our building east-west, thus having to utilize that additional parcel of land. Also, with that, if we could acquire that second parcel of land, it would preclude us from having to go onto that street, which is, I believe, South 6th Street, and then which turns into Rail Avenue, which you folks just redid like a week and a half ago, which looks fantastic. It would preclude us from having to ever travel on the road, across the road with any of our equipment, thus alleviating any potential damage to the road from our equipment or our equipment being damaged. So I guess we look at that as a real plus from that perspective also. So with that being said, I guess I'm here again to respectfully request if you would be willing to sell that other parcel of land. I believe that's lot number 6. And if you would be willing to sell that to our club again for $1. If you would want us to put up good faith money again, like we did on lot number 5, we'd be more than happy to do that. And we fully understand that we would have to go through the whole process of the paperwork with Attorney Lindsay and the Trenti Law Firm, so forth and so on. So, and we're ready to go through that process once again. Also, just an update, we have lot number 5 all cleared, ready to go. It's a fantastic parcel. We have awarded bids for the land preparation work and the slab work. That is to ETG contractor. They're a local contractor out of Hibbing. And we've also purchased the building. And that has been purchased through First Call Renovation, which is also a local company out of Hibbing. So we're proud to be supporting local contractors and keeping it local, because that's what it's all about. So I guess in a nutshell, we're requesting to purchase another lot, number 6, and I would hope for your positive support on that.
Council, questions for Dan at this point? We got him real early on the agenda, and he's going to stay on the line in case we have questions when it comes up. But
Mr. Mayor, I don't have any questions, but I think this is a great asset to our community. Purchasing this other parcel of land is going to get us some extra money in taxes, and I fully support Dan's project here.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
So I guess I'm not familiar where the snowmobile trail goes, Mr. Mayor, but are you going to have to travel through those other 2 parcels that are further to the southeast of your acquired land, or? I'm just wondering, because if you're going along 6th Street here, because there's 2 more parcels, I'm not sure where the snowmobile trail goes. So are you eventually going to be looking at purchasing some of those also, or if something comes in there and builds, how does that affect your route to the snowmobile trail?
Well, we would, to answer your question on that, yes, we would have to traverse along the easement of lot number 7 and lot number 8. And obviously those aren't inhabited right now with any business or anything. And of course, we would have to address that as time goes on, I guess. I don't know how else to answer that question at this point, but yes, we would have to traverse along the easements of those 2 parcels in order to get to the existing trail, which is basically goes along the frontage road right to the south of Minnesota Power, which is now the United Way building, and so forth and so on. And then obviously it goes to the east to cross County Road 82, which goes into Chisholm, and then to the west over toward the petroleum business there, then on obviously eastward onto that up toward the Delta building. So to answer your question, Councillor, yes, we would have to traverse right now along the easement of 7 and 8, lots 7 and 8. And of course, obviously we would have to address that in the future if those parcels were ever purchased by anyone else.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Adam, are you looking at the map?
Yes.
Yeah, that snowmobile trail just about crosses just about the bottom of the map.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the snowmobile trail right across that bottom of that map. It crosses just kind of on the I guess that would be the south end of that, what do you say, 8th, the big one there? It's kind of,
Yeah.
it's just a little bit south of the where the picture ends there. So they're real close. So. Okay, so we'll move on to the reports right now. Like I said, Dan will be here when we take it up as a second item under new business. So, Councilor Lance, as long as you're still on, why don't we start with you tonight?
Okay. So yeah, we've been very busy. Things are definitely moving along in Chisholm, and the next few 4 years are going to be very exciting. So one thing that we try to bring more attention to is the EDA. Councilor Baki can back me up and hopefully provide me some assistance when you give your report. But the EDA is very busy right now and being very active with helping our local businesses out. We hired 2 consulting firms. We are about $9,000 deep with them right now, but they went door to door with all our businesses in town, trying to find out what their needs are, what their needs prior were, and what they're dealing with now with C-19. After they did that, they went through and they helped any business who was interested with filling out paperwork, grants, applications, stuff like that. And we should know in August which of our local companies did get those grants. So there's some other things on the agenda that you're going to see, but it's just what our city is doing for our local companies and trying to make sure that our economic development moves ahead even after we kind of get through this rocky patch here. Hopefully we're going to be set up for success in the next year or so. The campground committee is very busy. We have a lot of stuff going on over there, and more stuff in the packet that we'll get to later, but I can't wait for that to get developed. We are seeing so many people, so many bikes, so many travelers. I was up at the Redhead last week. The WDSC, I believe, was up there doing a story. There was visitors from Tennessee, Utah, Colorado, North Carolina, and it's going to be huge. So everybody's going to have to just hope for the positive and grow with this. But it's going to snowball. So I'm very excited, and I think everybody in Chisholm should be. Other than that, I can't think of anything else. But hello to everybody.
Thank you, Adam. Councilor Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The agenda is long enough tonight. I have nothing to report, but I do want to thank Larry Falstead and Ryan Bumgard for getting that light on the helmet of the Iron Man statue done. I've been getting a lot of phone calls on that. People really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tracy. Councilor Baki, report?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Biggest thing for me is I just want to throw out some thank yous here. When I got this agenda packet, I was like, ooh, that thing is huge. But when I looked at the actual agenda, I want to thank the council as a whole, because this agenda to me is a very forward thinking. Like, there's not an item on here I wasn't excited about. So thank you for keeping Chisholm moving forward in a time where a lot of towns are not doing anything. In addition to that, I needed to throw a thank you to Attorney Lindsay. I have had him working hard for me on a couple of projects, and he never disappoints and meets my deadlines when I need him. So thank you, Attorney Lindsay. And same thing with Administrator Manny, busiest guy on planet Earth, probably, with all the stuff we have him going and doing. So thank you, Bill, for that. And I'll just echo what Adam said, the EDA is flying right now. We are involved in a lot of things. It's great to see it. Everyone's on board. We have a great committee, and you're going to see, the progress we've made here in the agenda. So that's all I got for right now. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Travis. Councilor Fountain, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. So Mandy and I have been working a little bit on the City of Chisholm website, but I'd just like to encourage everybody to check it out. The web address is www.ci.chisholm.mn.us. There's a lot of new posts on there and a lot of things that we've been working on, and just check it out. I was going to talk about something, but Chief Bob Brown's going to bring it up in his report tonight, so I'm excited for him to talk about that. also, I'm going to just echo what Adam said, but I'd like to also state that, you know, we also say that the Chisholm Iron Trail Campground is open, but I also wanted to let people know that we're working on another service you'll see in the pack when you hear about it, but we do have a 1-800 number, and we'll also, the 1-800-711-7789, you guys can call there. There's more information on the city website. So I just want to reach out to everybody if they want to check it out. And there's some great updates on there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, April. Councilor Varda, report tonight.
I will lean on the side of Councilor Campbell. The packet's big enough. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you, Jim. Just a quick report for me. I forwarded a letter today to the council just before the meeting tonight. Take a look at it. Basically, Administrator Manny and herself were asked to meet with Fairview in a Zoom meeting yesterday. Or actually, I think it was just an audio. I don't even remember. Yeah, audio. I've had so many doggone meetings. But anyway, and basically they're looking for any of our CARES money we don't spend, because on November 15th, we got to give it back. But read the letter, and I'm thinking they're going to expect us to take a look at it at some point prior to November 15th. So what else? I sent an email to the council a couple of weeks ago about a business proposition Bill and I were working on. We'll give you an update on that in the next couple of days on where we're at on that. It's not ready to come to the council at this point. And lastly, we did award the bids to tear down that HRA house on 6th Street that's been burned forever. And I think within just a couple of weeks, that thing should be gone. One other item, I'm going to bring it up so Larry doesn't have to. We had a contractor in town. I believe he was doing demos for the city of Chisholm. It's beyond my belief that anybody would do this, but the individual drove an excavator with steel tracks across town. We had no sooner had a talk with the individual that you can't do that. We can't, to be honest with you, I can't believe anybody would do that to start with. But I myself gave him the benefit of doubt. He said he's been doing it for years. I wasn't going to get that excited because he hadn't really wrecked anything, and the dust had barely settled on that. And I believe it was earlier today, he took that excavator down our alley between 2nd and 3rd Streets South and went directly across our new paved 4th Avenue and tore it up. And I know Jim Johnson, Larry are working on it. They got some pretty substantial numbers of damage. And, you know, my opinion, Larry and Jim can work with the attorney, but they need to go after the individual in whatever fashion. And I told Larry, tell him right now that I'm not going to accept any bids from him in this town until it's cleaned up, till this mess is cleaned up. So that's where that's at. If you have a question about who it is, I don't want to badmouth anybody on TV. Let's just let the dust settle. But Larry will inform you who it is if you ask him. So that's all I have. But very, very irresponsible of the contractor. So if there's nothing on that, we'll move on to the building official. Andy?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. I just wanted to let you know, I don't know, John, you're on the HRA board, so just so you're aware that that same contractor did get the bid for demo of that property as well.
I'm aware.
Keep an eye on that. Also, thank you, Councillor Fountain, for all of the help on the website. It looks great. She's very familiar with the domain that we have, and she is aware that it's a little outdated, so it's a little bit hard to work with, but she's done an amazing job for what she has put on there. So thank you so much for that. Otherwise, everything's been very busy. I've been up to, I believe, 75 building permits for the end of the 3rd quarter, and everything keeps rolling. Things are working out well. I'm doing a lot of communication with email, and if I need to, I meet people outside of the building, and then otherwise we use the mailbox to communicate. Otherwise, I just have the snowmobile club's request on the agenda and a variance approval. If anyone has any questions of me.
Council, if not, we'll move on. Jim, city engineer, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, Administrator Manny. Just a quick status update. I did receive a call late this afternoon from Masabi Bituminous. They're anticipating getting in to finish up 13th Street punch list items, which are primarily seed, sod, a little bit of pavement repair where we had some settlements. It's supposed to be done the end of this week and looking at paving hopefully the early part of next week. As most of you are aware, we had put together a pretty extensive punch list of concrete replacement repair items up on 8th Street Northwest, and that subcontractor came in the end of last week and completed that work. I think it looks very good. I think they did a very professional job. I'll let Travis comment if you'd like to on that as well. But we will be going back through that project later this fall to put together a final punch list. Our 1-year warranty doesn't end until April 1st of next year, but we'll put together any final punch list late this season. And then we're awaiting word back from our pickleball court striper as to when he's going to get back to eradicate what he's done and to restripe it. I'm sure he got put behind with the rain. He's on that, so we're still awaiting word as to when that will get accomplished. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions that the Mayor Council may have.
Council, anything for Jim?
Yep, just one thing. As Jim said, I will echo that. I did walk the East Street project. They did a phenomenal job on all those repairs. That road finally looks like it should. So thank you to Jim. Thank you to Matt and Ellie for working on that for us. It looks great now.
And we'll get the pavement routed and sealed yet this fall, so it's sealed up before we get to winter.
Good. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Larry, good evening.
Hey, everybody, Mayor, councilors, Administrator Manny. Just a couple things, 3 things really. Besides, thank you, Tracy, and the others for all the comments about the LED light on the. It's the smallest bulb we've ever done, and it's gained the most attention. But it was the funnest project. There's so many comments on Facebook about, oh, I never knew there was a helmet light, and it's just really great. It's fun. It was probably one of the best projects I've done yet. But without your support, it wouldn't even be possible. So I appreciate that, and I know the citizens of Chisholm and even the surrounding area appreciate that too. The comments are just daily. So, and then the citywide cleanup was a huge success. Again, really every load that comes in comes out of the city, and it's just out of an alley, out of an abandoned house. We have folks that come in, says, I've been cleaning up this neighbor's yard for years, or it's an abandoned lot I've been cleaning up for years. I wait every year for this opportunity. So it's really good. I appreciate your support on that, as does, I'm sure, the whole Public Utility Commission there. And then I represent the city as just kind of in the background, as the city has retained an engineering firm to kind of steer the ship on the new 5G AT&T tower going on the Chisholm Water Tower. And that is back on track with all the COVID and all the supply chain problems. And I met with the main contractor and a couple of subcontractors, and they fully expect to have that new 5G tower, one of the closest to us, on the newest on the range, by Labor Day weekend, fully operational. So with that, I'll just finish up with, besides what's on the council agenda, you'll be hearing hiring, moving employees around, getting those employees promoted in those spots. The 140-year veteran employee is just the tip of the iceberg. And I just want to give the council a heads up on that. So it'll be an aggressive hiring process to get everybody in their spot with your support, and get a couple new people trained in and ready to go for when the snow flies this fall or into winter. So With that, any questions? Welcome to have them.
Council?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for Larry.
Good, Jim.
Councilor Varda.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Good. I've had a few phone calls about the cleanup, and folks in town would like to know if it could be extended another week or something, or is that impossible?
Yeah, at this point it is, because we even have to apply for a special permit through St. Louis County to do it because of the massive amount of material that we take, and then it's really taxing on the manpower too. So at this point it'd be pretty tough.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing else for Larry. We'll move on. Fire Chief, good evening, Bob.
Good evening. Honorable Mayor, council members, city administrator, city attorney, fellow staff members, and the public. Just a real brief report because of the length of your agenda. The first week of August, our engine 1 will be going out for probably about a week's maintenance. Normally, all of our maintenance gets done right at the fire hall. What has to be done on this, they do have to drop the pump. There's not a lot of people that provide this type of work. Emergency apparatus maintenance out of Lino Lake, so the truck will be down there for approximately a week. It has to have its mechanical seals repaired. We got a couple other smaller issues that they're going to repair while it's down there. Tomorrow, we're doing our annual physicals, and normally we have them done in March. Because of the COVID, OSHA requires to do this annual physical screening. And then been working with Dewey Johnson, emergency manager from the St. Louis County. I was contacted with them, and they're going to be hosting COVID testing on the Iron Range at the Fairgrounds at Discovery Center. It'll be next week. They're going to be putting out all kinds of information. Thank you, April, Councilor Fountain. There's going to be a media blitz done by the county. The county provides all the signage, the cones, all the people that are going to do it. And, you know, the two big days are next Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday is from noon to 7. And Wednesday will be from 10 until 5, and it's open to anybody. There's no charge for it. Then the information as the flyer that Councilor Fountain is holding up, and you'll hear it during the media blitzes and things, they are requiring if people can pre-register, and you can do that a couple different ways. There's a number you can call or a website you can visit. The only thing that they're looking at for our involvement, they would like somebody from the fire department to be there with a battery booster pack in the event if a car stopped in that line. They're going to be using the far east building with the green roof on it. They're going to have the two lines that are going to be driving through there. They'll have all the signage and the people directing that. I also reached out and explained this to Chief Manor, and Dewey Johnson did a courtesy call to our city administrator too yesterday. That's all I have from the fire department. Any questions for me?
Council, any questions? April, anything you want to add to what Bob said there? No?
I know, just a quick thing, you know, Bob was saying that there is a website. It's Minnesota Department of Health, health.mn.gov. There is a phone number, 651-201-5000. You sign up. I'm going to let you all know that I did sign up today, and my children. Very simple, very easy, and you can pick a time. And you just, they send you a text with all the information, with a little barcode on it. And then you show them your barcode when you go there. Very simple, very easy, and they'll do it right in the vehicle that you're in. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob and April. Library Supervisor Katie, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Just a quick update on the summer reading program. Packets are now available. They're take-home packets for kids with some activity booklets and colored pencils and stickers, some crafts. Yep, and so those are all ready to go. Curbside tomorrow is 11 to 3 o'clock, and that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Council, any questions? Katie, I seen a gal over in Hibbing at the library reading books online today.
I did see that, April. That was awesome.
I was wondering if we're going to see you on there soon on Facebook reading books to the kids.
Maybe. We'll have to consider that.
April's our movie star over there.
She is. She's good at it.
All right, we'll move on. Chief of Police Vern, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. In keeping with the spirit of keeping it short, I don't have a report tonight unless there's questions.
Council, anything for the chief? Thank you, Chief. Rec Director Tammy, are you on tonight?
I am. Just a quick little report. Solar lights. Larry Falstad gave me a big hand, and we selected 4 solar lights to go on our walking trail with our little pilot program. Those lights cost about $900. That doesn't include the poles or the install. But I'm excited to see how they work, because maybe there's other park and rec areas that we can continue to use these and maybe expand them around the lake next year. The council had suggested that maybe we could get our licensing from the library for the movie nights, and Katie was great enough to contact the lady. That's not possible. It has to be on site, and it has to be a library function and stuff. So I did follow through on that. Besides that, just the pickleball courts. Yeah, we're just waiting for those lines to get corrected. That's it for me.
Thank you. I don't say anything for Tammy. Tammy, oh, go ahead, whoever.
Mayor, Bob Brown here. I just looked at that wonderful website the city of Chisholm has, and all that COVID information is already on there, so kudos.
Good. Tammy, I got a quick question. I don't know if you're the person to answer this or not, but I do some work for the Chisholm schools through my personal business, and my contact there asked me about if the city was doing some type of a drop at the football field, the press box, or the viewing, where the announcer sits or something. I knew nothing about it, because he was asking, are you guys putting the internet up there or something? Can you shed any light, or can anybody? Is that something that's being talked about?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
That's Bill and I's project. The athletic director from the high school called me and asked me if it would be possible for us to put internet in that press box, because what he wants to do is mount a camera on the top of the press box and watch and records the game, but it needs an internet in order to do it. And so I reached out to Bill, and Bill has been in contact with Compudyne, and they have not, which I'm not happy about, but they have not yet told us if it's possible, which I can't imagine it's not possible. But so the answer is yes, they are looking at putting internet up there.
Okay, good. I appreciate that. Thank you, Tammy. City Attorney Brian, you got a report tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. No formal report, but I am happy to answer questions.
Council, questions for Brian? I'm going to ask one again. I'm sorry, everybody. I just got so many questions. Brian, governor's order, statewide mask mandate. Any advice you're going to need to give our city staff now, or is there anything he said today that changes the way we conduct business as a city and our staff?
Thank you, Mayor. Good question. I have reviewed a majority of that new executive order 20-81 that's come out. We may have to make a slight adjustment or just supplement our master plan with the new mask requirement. We may have to put up some additional signage. I will work with Administrator Manning to make sure that we're in full compliance. It shouldn't be anything major. I think we've got most of the pieces in place. We've just got to kind of update our signage.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
I like that microphone, Brian.
Anything else for Brian? City Administrator Bill. Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, I'll be brief. There's 3 things real quick. I just want to continue on with the executive order, the face covering. The biggest challenge that I can see is going to be less than 3 weeks. We have the election, and having people come in the door and having to have a conversation with them that they need to wear face masks is going to be a little bit of a challenge. Got a letter from the Secretary of State today already regarding that. They are encouraging people to, when they come to vote, that they should be wearing face masks. I envision that to be a little bit of a challenge. So more to come on that, I guess. Second thing is our city committee met with the school board, and everybody was in agreement to rip up the current lease for the sports complex. And I'll be working with Attorney Lindsay, because we are the landlord, and coming up with a draft agreement of a new lease, of which we'll need to fill in some blanks. So that's a work in progress. And the school would like to tour the field house and the facilities prior to the football starting in the middle of August. along with our committee. So that's something that's in the works and will be a work in progress. Third and final thing, if those of you that aren't aware, the legislature, another special session number 2, adjourned without passing any type of bonding bill. There are some challenges from what I read today with passing a bonding bill. If there's a special session next month, there's something about some other funding that I don't totally understand. But what I read today is if there's any bonding bill that's going to be passed, it's possibly out to September now. So didn't get a chance to read a whole lot about that, but that's what I know as of now. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for the administrator.
Go ahead, Councilor Barta.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hey, Jim.
I'm just curious about the election. Is the city have a stockpile of masks you can hand out people that don't have them, or can we order some? Or
yeah, the state is supposed to provide us with some. I had an hour meeting the other day with Christy Castagneri, our kind of handles our election. Larry Permananzi, who sets things up, and we met for an hour just on special COVID-related items with the setup that we're going to be doing. Our goal is to get everything set up by the end of next week so we can go and make any adjustments. We've ordered plastic sheeting to hang from the ceiling, in front of the tables, between the tables. We have a whole plan in place, but this wearing a mask thing today is a bit of a curveball. But the state is supposed to provide us with personal protective equipment, which we're supposed to receive next week.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be helping with getting those masks too. I'll keep you informed, Administrator.
Thank you.
Bill, when's the primary? In just a couple weeks, or?
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 weeks from yesterday. It's August 11th.
Okay. Good. Bounce, anything else for Bill? Okay, we'll move on. Consent agenda. This is a list of bills. I believe it was in your inbox earlier today. I think I've seen it there. Airport Authority minutes in the Communications Fire Department minutes, Planning Commission minutes, Police Commission minutes, Public Utilities Commission minutes, Chamber newsletter, second quarter 2020 ambulance report, Museum of Mining communication, minutes of previous city council meetings approved, the June 29, 2020 special meeting, June 29, 2020 special joint meeting with Independent School District 695, July 8, 2020 regular meeting, payroll and overtime, or payroll, I should say. Motion to accept consent agenda.
I'll make that motion to accept the consent agenda. Councillor Campbell.
Second for
Councillor Fountain.
any corrections or changes that you've seen? Problems? Okay, Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Baki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Council, just because of the length of the agenda, we've had this CARES Act on here. Just carry it over. Keep it on the agenda. We're going to have to talk about that money at some point. Unless the council wants to talk about it tonight, but I think we got enough to talk about. And we, like I said, we got to obviously spend it by November 15th. And council kind of directed Bill to bring the big ticket items to us anyway, if it and kind of spend it as he feels it's needed. So, council, anything on that, or you want to just skip over it tonight? All right, we'll move on to the new business. Mandy, this variance request from Seth Ishmael.
Yes, we had a variance request to the Planning Commission from Mr. Ismail. He lives at 300 2nd Avenue Northwest. His current garage there was destroyed by a fire. He would like to replace that garage that was destroyed with a 24 by 28 detached garage. He is requesting to have a 6-foot setback from the street rather than the 15-foot required. He does meet all hardships since there was a building currently there that was destroyed, so I would recommend approval of the variance.
Motion, somebody want to make council to allow the variance?
I'll make that motion to allow the variance for the request for the detached garage.
Support, Councilor Lance.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Campbell, seconded by Councilor Lance. Further discussion?
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
Mandy, did anybody show up from the neighborhood to that? No, so there were no concerns. Nobody had any concerns with the request.
I did have one phone call from a neighbor, and her concerns were taken care of, and letters were sent out.
Yeah, I mean, I fully believe, I mean, he bought the house with a garage, he should have a garage. I mean, hard to sell a house without a garage, so I'm okay with it.
Yep. Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Baki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Nay.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Second item, Council, if you have that map, you heard from Dan Merritt. I believe he's still on the line with us. If you have any additional questions, but I don't know what we would sell this to him for. He's looking for the end result to be $1. I went down there and looked at it, and there's literally probably there's just a few hundred square feet there that is usable from what I could tell without cutting a lot of trees down. There's not a lot there. I'd make the recommendation something like sell it to him for $1,000 and give him $999 back or something at the end of it. I don't know how Brian would write that up, if he would try to add it to the other parcel or what, but maybe he can chime in. But there's not a lot there. I can tell you, looking at it, we're never going to sell it. It's not as big as the map shows because it's half of it's a hillside, a rock hillside. So,
Mr. Mayor, I'll move resolution number 1119-75 authorizing the conveyance of land. How do you want it to be? To sell it for $1 with substantial completion by a certain 18 months?
Excuse me, Tracy?
Yes.
Councillor Campbell, that was a resolution that was passed in 2019.
Oh, this wasn't, okay, so this is something different. Okay, so I'll make a,
should we have had a resolution, Margaret?
Yes, you should.
So
you can get us a number.
Sure.
I mean, we should at least take a number to it. We can approve a resolution after the fact, but we'll get the thing passed, right? Brian, is that okay? Brian, is that okay to do? Get it.
What we could do, Mayor, is we could move by motion, get the process started, then ratify that by formal resolution at the next meeting.
Okay.
So my motion, I'll rescind my motion. I'll just make the motion then to go ahead to sell that piece of property to the Pathfinders.
You want to go with my recommendation, $1,000, and give them a $999? Okay.
Yeah. Per your recommendation.
I'll second that.
Okay. Council, further discussion?
Mayor, this is Jim.
Yep. Go ahead, Jim.
Just for clarification, that's Lot 6 of Block 2 of the second addition to the Chisholm Industrial Park as the legal description.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Council, anything else?
Mr. Maris, while you're here, did you guys decide to put water and sewer in that building or no?
Yes, we are going to put water and sewer. We're going to stub that in for future connection. And obviously, we're going to bring electricity also to that building, Councilor.
Great.
Council, anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for the attorney.
Go ahead, Jim.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well.
Do we have to do this $1,000 thing and get $1 back? Or can we just sell it for $1?
The option is really, the option is for the council. This is one of those circumstances where, I mean, typically there's a statute out there that says that cities typically aren't allowed to just kind of give property away, but to promote economic development and increase the tax base is one of the bases that can be used to kind of move that statute aside. In this case, typically the more important reason to have that upfront payment with the payback is to kind of give an incentive for the development that creates the foundation or the basis to step outside that general rule or that statutory requirement. So that's generally why we would do it as a city.
Okay, thank you.
You know, and I think, Brian, just to add to it, what you said, I mean, I think we're going to want to make that the refund contingent on the substantial completion of the original project. Wouldn't we want to do that? Can we tie this together with the original project? Because that's what the big money was about, so the person does what they're supposed to do, right?
That's correct, and that would be an acceptable tie-in.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I believe on the first time on our first request of the lot number 5, and everything was our money back, if you will, was contingent upon receiving our certificate of compliance and conformance and from the building and housing that indeed we have met the requirements of the building permit, so forth and so on, and then thus that would authorize us to receive our money back, if you will. Ultimately bringing everything down to $1 per lot, if you will. So, and we understand that, of course, and like I said, we're ready to go anyway, and so we're definitely we're going to do it.
Good. Councilor else will take a vote on that item. Margaret.
Councilor Lance.
Aye.
Councilor Fountain.
Aye, but Mandy had something to say.
I just wanted to comment that they would be reimbursed upon the issuance of certificate of occupancy.
There you go. That's what I was looking for, Mandy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Continue, Margaret.
Councilor Vaki.
Aye.
Councilor Varda.
Aye.
Councilor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes.
Mayor, I'd just like to add in a sincere thank you to all of you, to you, your councilors, your staff, Administrator Manny. I want a special thank you to Larry Folstad. I know he works very closely with our head of our building committee, who's Joe McKinney. So Larry, thank you to you also. But just a sincere thank you. You guys are very supportive. We're very appreciative, and we are very, very excited to make Chisholm our home for our club building. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Have a good evening.
You also. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on. Larry, Resolution 0720-50, appoint Luke Amundson water plant operator.
Mayor, councilors, thanks again. Dan Snowmobile Group, to a good group. This is just a formality. I apologize for not having this ready for you last council meeting. Would have been done and not on this hefty council packet. But since we have it, this is a promotion by resolution for the council to appoint Luke Amundson to that water plant / utility position, and part of the domino effect that we'll talk about going forward here with the hiring that we spoke about. So I appreciate your consideration and support.
Thank you, Larry. Council will need a motion to adopt Resolution 0720-52.
I'd like to make a motion for that, 0720-50, for the appointment of Luke Amundson to the water plant operator utility.
Support.
Motion by Councilor Fountain, seconded by Councilor Varda. Any other discussion? Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Councilor Lance.
Aye.
Councilor Fountain.
Aye.
Councilor Vaki.
Aye.
Councilor Varda.
Aye.
Councilor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Larry, a job description for the water sewer utility worker that would basically be replacing Luke's job.
Correct. Thank you, Mayor. the rewritten job for the water sewer utility position also is supported and forwarded to you for your consideration, support, and approval. This is the rewriting of the job description. So we'll go next to the posting of the job description if you approve and support. But this is a modern approach to the work and the work duties that we have in the water sewer department right now. We're moving from an old contract into the new, and I guess I'll leave it right there. We just modernized and reworded the job description to fit our current needs in public utilities. So this is a budgeted for position that we currently have, now vacated by that Luke Emerson, which you just appointed. Appreciate that. And so this is first just your support and acceptance of the water/sewer utility job posting.
Council, looking for a motion to accept the job description.
I have a question for.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, Larry. Yeah, it was me. Larry, did the union okay this too?
That's correct. Yep, it is, Councilor Varda. Administrator Manning and I did meet with union leadership, and they approved the change.
Okay, thank you.
I will make that motion to approve the new job description for the water sewer utility.
I made that motion already.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry. Second.
Okay. Any other discussion, Council? Margaret, vote, please.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Last item there, he's going to want to post that job description internally, and we'd want to appoint a hiring committee if it ends up going externally. Is that correct, right?
I appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you. You couldn't be more right. Now, with your support of that job description change, we would like to, per the union contract, post that internally immediately, or as soon as Margaret can help and get it to us, with how busy everybody is, and Administrator Manning to sign that. But we do post internally first for qualified candidates, and we'd like to do that immediately. But then also appoint that hiring committee if we are forced to go outside and hire externally. So,
Larry, who would be the hiring committee typically? And it's you and Bill? And
me, Bill, usually always a counselor. And the last council meeting for the other position, it escapes me if it was Councilor Vodke or Lance. I honestly don't remember. Generally speaking, Bill, myself, of course, myself, at least one counselor, and we usually do one public works employee of our choosing, I guess.
Council, somebody want to be on that committee? We'll do what we've done in the past, but we need to have one counselor if we end up having to go external. If not, I'll be happy.
I'll be on that committee, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we'll need a motion to post internally. If we do not get an applicant internally, a qualified candidate internally, we'll allow Larry to go externally. And we'll also appoint a hiring committee with our council representative, April Fountain, and the people Larry mentioned, with typical. So I'd entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Councilor Lance. Is there a second?
Support.
Councilor Vaki. Further discussion? Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you, Larry. Jim, we'll get on to you here. Resolution 0720-51. I think all three of these, you can probably wrap them up in about 2 sentences. They're pretty straightforward.
Thank you, Mayor, member of the council. Basically, this is, we received the feasibility, well, we ordered the feasibility on this way back in July of last year when we thought it was just a street project. We received that feasibility in early March, and we're setting a public hearing date at that point. I should have also authorized the preparation of the plans and specs at that time, but I overlooked it. So I'm just asking, pursuant to the Minnesota statutes regarding assessments, to approve Resolution 0720-51, authorizing the preparation of plans and specs for the 3rd Street Northwest project.
Council looking for a motion?
I'll make that motion. This is Counselor Campbell.
Okay, motion was made.
I'll second that. Counselor Fountain.
Okay, Council, any questions for Jim on that item?
I do.
Go ahead, Councilor Lance.
You know, our streets are so dang skinny, 24 feet. I think we need to look at widening this up. I think if we're going through and replacing infrastructure and doing a complete redo, we need to widen these streets up. Coming to winter time, which we spend the majority of our year, the first snowfall, they lose 18 inches of street. It can't be helped. That's just what happens. So, these are single lane roads pretty much 6 or 7 months out of the year. So if we're doing this, I think we should start looking at widening it up. Maybe it doesn't need to be as big as the avenues, but our current width is not acceptable, I don't think.
Jim, what does that do to everything we've done leading up to this? Obviously, the price would go up, but what's that do with public hearings and everything else if the council was like to make a change like that in the 11th hour as we're after the public? It says after the hearing.
Basically, because the assessment rate doesn't change regardless of what the street width is. Basically, it means we've got to go back and do the redesign. It changes, heights of curb and gutter, and how we tie in with our streets or our sidewalks and our driveway aprons and so forth. Most of the homes in this area have alleys and driveways either off an alley or off the street. So we don't see a lot of on-street parking unless somebody's having a party or something. But we can certainly look at modifying it if that's the council's wish at this point. The unfortunate thing is, in trying to move this forward, on the next item, we're looking at approving those plans and specs and trying to take bids here in about 3 or 4 weeks on August 19th, so we can award it the second meeting in August. But
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Campbell.
So maybe going forward after, this street, I don't believe, it's almost like a dead end, isn't it? I mean, there's not a lot of traffic that uses this street. Maybe going forward, we better start looking at what Adam's requesting, but I think it's kind of late now on this one. We'd have to go back and start all over again. We've already approved everything up to now. We should have did that when it was just going out for all the plans and specs,
Yeah,
we can do whatever the wishes.
I don't know if it's necessary on this one. It's like you said, we were down there and we were the only cars parked down there when we were there that day looking at it. So
we were, and my only, the drive up there is what kind of makes me think of these streets. I mean, so not everybody came up there, but it's all the time even trying to get up there without snow on the ground. So I guess, if we're going forward, that's something we need to look at. Maybe I'll blame these Zoom meetings for the lack of questions that I've asked. But so going forward, I think that definitely needs to be something done.
Your point is well taken, Adam.
Okay, so we have a motion of support on that, ordering the plans and specs. Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Councilor Lance.
Aye.
Councilor Fountain.
Aye.
Councilor Vaki.
Aye.
Councilor Varda.
Aye.
Councilor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Jim, resolution 0720-52, approving the plans and specs.
I think we covered that, basically approving plans and specs and authorizing the advertisement for bids, receiving bids then on August 19th, and hopefully being able to award a project on August 26th, your second meeting in August. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Council will be looking for a motion to adopt resolution 0720-52.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor. This is Councilor Fountain.
Okay.
Plans and specifications. Do I have to say the whole thing, or would you like me to?
Nah, you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Margaret's shorthanding it right now as we're talking. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that. Counselor Campbell.
Council, further discussion. We have motion and support. Okay, Margaret, vote please.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Last thing under Jim, resolution 0720-53, accept Iron Range Community Infrastructure Grant for 3rd Street. Apply and accept it if we get it. We're applying for $350,000. Jim kind of went through that at the earlier meeting, so I would look for a motion to adopt resolution 0720-53.
I'll make that motion. Yes.
Second for that.
Support.
Counselor Lance supported. Jim, you got anything to add that I didn't have there?
Nope, it's just a reapplication. We applied last year, but they gave out, and their fiscal year ended June 30th, so they asked us to withdraw last year's application, and I've already submitted the pre-application, and we've got approval on that. So now I can fill out the full application probably next week and get all this submitted along with this resolution as well as the cost estimates. Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, for Jim. So Jim, if this project doesn't happen until 2021, because it's going to be late in the year, like we talked about at the public hearing, we'll have to redo this again too, right?
No, they operate on a fiscal year that goes from July 1 through June 30th, and I think the contracts usually go, I think, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for about 2 years. Once we take bids on this, that's state aid. Once we start processing partial pay estimates, then we seek reimbursement right away.
Thank you.
Councilor,
you're welcome.
Margaret, we'll take a vote.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Tracy, second reading ordinance amending City Code 90 restrictions. I don't know a lot about this, but Brian's on with us. I think this one, we had no more changes. We just voted up or down right now, right? Would that be everybody's understanding?
That's correct. It's a final reading and then a vote can be had.
Council, I think we're kind of all on the same page in this ordinance, so I'd entertain a motion to accept this second reading of ordinance number 90.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion for second reading of ordinance number 90, amending the city code chapter 90 to add the new section restriction on keeping dogs and cats.
And okay, motion by Councilor Campbell, second by who is that? Councilor Lance?
No, Varda.
Varda. Brian, we got to advertise the posting or the change and everything now, right? Just clarify.
Yep, correct. The once the second reading has occurred, it'll have to be published.
Okay. Okay, good. All right, so we have motion and support. Any other discussion, Council? Okay, we'll take a vote on that. Margaret?
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye. Thank you, Tracy.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Jim, annexation information. Good evening.
Good evening. This is basically just informational this particular evening, but I got in contact with the attorney, and I will let him talk about this more than me because he knows way more about it than I do.
Thank you, Councillor. Mayor, if I may, I was asked to look into this and just bring back some general information. And essentially what I'm going to do, because of the length of today's agenda, I'm just going to give a very simple explanation, a very simple summary of kind of the different ways that annexation can occur. By statute, there's 3 different ways that annexation can occur. It can either occur by ordinance, there can be what's called an orderly annexation, or there can be what's essentially a petition for annexation. In our case, based on the requirements of the statute, I don't think that annexation by ordinance would really even be an option for us. So really, we're looking at the second 2 options. The real difference between the 2 is the level of involvement between the 2, between the city and the current operators of the property that are to be annexed. In an orderly annexation, there's a lot more focus on the 2 groups getting together, working out the details, and essentially entering into a contract that allows for one area to be taken in and become part of a larger municipal body. With regard to that last variety, it's a lot more. It's called annexation by petition, and it's a lot more of what you traditionally think of as kind of a hostile takeover, although it's not entirely hostile. The key to any form of annexation that the city may ever look at is going to be communication and planning. There's a lot of groundwork that has to be put down before an annexation can be successful, and ultimately, in order for any annexation to be successful, the state government at a state level, they have to take a look at it, and they've got to decide that it's going to be in the best interest of the parties that are involved, and that the interest that's going to be served by the annexation isn't going to be outweighed by additional administrative duties, increases in taxes, and they've got to make sure that the municipality that's doing the annexing, that's taking on additional property, has the ability to fully service that new land area that would be taken in. And then the final piece of it is, if there's local government in place in the area that's to be annexed, after the annexation process would occur, there has to be a period of time where those governmental units are blended, that the laws and ordinances that control each area are blended, and that the local governments are addressed specifically. And that can be as drastic as the state requiring new selection of the leadership of the community. So that is kind of the 10,000-foot view of the issue. But for purposes of where the rubber meets the road, the critical piece is to get a real good idea of what a community is looking to accomplish by annexation, and to make sure that there's a good deal of planning beforehand to make sure that that can be accomplished efficiently and for the best interest of the citizens of both communities. I'll try to entertain specific questions if there are any.
Brian, I'm gonna jump in. Obviously, back in the day when I served as mayor, this was something I brought up back then. Coming back at a much later time in my life, I'm not completely supportive of doing something like trying to annex Balkan. However, there's some specific things. Chisholm has some. We have some concerns. We don't have a lot of areas to build homes. And one specifically is just at the end of the road where my shop is right now. Chisholm actually has 40 acres out there. We just logged it. And Chisholm actually owns the 40 acres, but it's sitting in Balkan. Is that a much easier process to try to just rewrite that line? And then let me ask, and then we also have an individual that owns 40 acres, like behind our Bethlehem Greens, but there's like a little tooth that he owns another 20 acres that's sitting in Balkan, and it's like it was carved out of Chisholm to put in Balkan when the lines were drawn. How easy is it to acquire things like that? Obviously, yeah. What can you talk to that note?
I can, Mayor. So with regard to, it's actually, I'll have to retract the statement that I made. With regard to the property that Chisholm owns that juts out into Balkan, if that property abuts our municipal boundary, that is a situation where we actually could do, we could annex by ordinance. With regard to the property owners, those situations I think would lend themselves well to the orderly annexation. If we talk to to individual property owners, and there's a group that have contiguous lots or are right, kind of straddling the boundaries and would like to be brought into one area, there could be some discussions as between the two communities about just transferring those properties over. And I mean, part of that discussion, as I mentioned before, has to be the public welfare and improvement of the situations, as far as providing city utilities or extending city services out to those folks. And so, yeah, I think that those types of situations are much more simple, or much lend themselves much more readily to the annexation property than, say, going in and taking large swaths of property just for a general purpose.
Okay. Council, anybody else want to chime in?
Mr. Mayor, I just have a thing or two to mention.
Go ahead, Jim.
If not this council, I would hope the future council or councils look at annexing Balkan, because it would certainly unlandlock us. I would think it would help our tax roll, but it's something maybe this council can't do. But I urge the next council to look at this a little more deeper than we probably can with the time Councilor Campbell and I have left on the council.
Okay. Council, anything else? Or do you want to move on? Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Brian. Travis, COVID-19 plan for drive-in movie event.
All right, pretty simple. The Kiwanis Club is having a drive-in movie, and they have gone through, they've met with Bob. They've gone through all the required steps. They created a COVID plan. You see the parking of the vehicles, gathering and guidance that the state provided to them. So pretty black and white. And I'll make a motion that we approve them for this event. I think it's a great way to still have a community event safely.
Good.
I agree, Councillor Baki, and I'm going to second that.
Thank you. Okay, we have motion support, and I would echo what both of you said. A great event. Council, if there's nothing else, Margaret, we can take a vote.
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Baki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Chisholm Football Quarterback Club COVID-19 plan. Travis?
All right, here you go. Same thing the next day. Kiwanis is having theirs on Friday. The football club is having theirs on Saturday, August 8th. They are showing the movie Rudy. Same thing. They've gone through all the same steps that the Kiwanis Club did. And I would, again, make a motion that we approve this and another great community event, and on the same weekend. And it's a fundraiser for them.
Okay, motion to approve that.
I support that. Second, Fountain.
Okay, motion made by Councillor Baki, seconded by Councillor Fountain. Council, if there's no other discussion, we'll take a vote. Margaret?
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Baki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Travis, Zeph Energy electric vehicle charging site lease.
All right, so in front of you is a lease between the city and Zeph. As you know, I mentioned at another council meeting that Larry Folstad and I were working with Zeph to install an electrical vehicle charging station that will be The site for that is the southwest corner of the Tom and Jerry's parking lot, right where you come into the parking lot, those first 4 parking spaces. That's the projected and favorite spot for it, as long as it all works out. We got kind of lucky in the fact that our neighbors to the south screwed the pooch, and we're taking advantage of it. And so Jim from Zeph came to us with the proposal. He wants it to be in Chisholm. I don't know if you guys saw the colored map that I provided with Margaret, but if you did, those are the locations of his grant, where all of his stations are, and the closest one to us is Grand Rapids, and then there is not one except for maybe Duluth, but I'm not even sure if Duluth has one. So I think it's a great future project, forward thinking, looking ahead down the road. Electrical vehicles are coming, and we're being proactive, and I think this is a great opportunity for us. So I will, before I make a motion, I'll let anyone else chime in that has comments.
Travis, I got a couple of questions. Who pays for the electricity? Us? The city pays the electric bill?
So I think that Brian is probably the best person to answer that question.
And then before he answers that, we should spell Chisholm right under intended locations.
Uh-oh. Typo. Not for me.
Kidding. Brian, what do you know about that as far as the electricity provider in this? Is it the city?
Thank you, Mayor. My understanding is that we have the city's obligation as it relates to energy is to make the energy the source available, but I believe that the actual charging station, Zeph is going to actually pay for the usage. So the utility bill, I understand, would be paid by Zeph. And the typo under City of Chisholm, I don't think is mine either.
I would concur with Attorney Lindsay there, Mayor, that this project is out of the this is from the Volkswagen settlement, and it's 100% funded, not with city funds. Basically, our obligation is the 4 dedicated parking spots. We'll plow just like we already do. We already own the lot, and then they would like us to maintain those spots with no parking unless you're a electric vehicle. So you couldn't be more right that the city really has zero obligation to this.
Well, seems like a no-brainer to me, so I'd entertain that motion, and let's get it done.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
Larry, for the electric cars only, is that going to be like paint on the ground, or do we have to buy signs to post those?
I honestly believe, Jim, Councilor Varda, that it's turnkey. The signs are up, the posts are up when they leave, and we just have to try to maintain that. And I've spoken with Vern a little bit about it. It's really not that big a deal. We own the lot now. We put up some no parking signs. People, generally speaking, obey them, just like a handicap sign. So we don't see a lot. We don't really see a lot going on there. If there's an event in the Tom and Jerry's parking lot, something like that, we may see, but we just really don't see a big problem.
Okay, thank you. Larry, I had a quick question for you. How's the lighting in that area of the parking lot? Maybe to deter any would-be vandals, or it's a big investment. A great investment.
Per councilor support, we've upgraded the parking lot to LED also, and LED lighting, and that'll also be in that LED rebate summary that I provided to the council as soon as we get most of our projects done for the year. But we're already in that like $12,000 range of rebates coming back to the city. But that has been, to answer your question in short, that has been upgraded to LED lighting as well, that parking lot.
Thank you.
Council looking for a motion to allow that charging station to get put in there.
I will make that motion.
Okay,
support, Councilor Lance.
Motion made by Councilor Vaki, seconded by Councilor Lance. Any other discussion? Okay.
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champ.
Aye. And the motion passes. Travis, your last item, first reading ordinance amending city code parking schedules.
Okay, so as you all know, I have been working with Larry and Vern in a new calendar parking ordinance. I gave my kudos to Brian earlier today at the front of the meeting. He's worked his butt off to get this done for us so we could do a first reading here today. This will help our emergency vehicles, our garbage service, as well as Larry when he's plowing. The ordinance was emailed to you today because we got the final language done today. And so with that, couple of the big changes you see are there is going to be no parking on Lake Street from 2 to 6. That's every day, not just during a certain period of time. So that's year round. That will help Larry out. And then it gives also the police in the city the ability to tow vehicles if they are impeding emergency vehicles, if we have a snow emergency and they're in the way, and things of that nature. So I think I think Brian did a great job. I'll let Larry chime in because I know he was a big part of this. And yeah, I fully hope we all support this first reading.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in? Larry? Brian?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Campbell, what else did you change on this without having to go in depth with all this? So no parking on Lake Street year round, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And what else has changed?
Councilor, one of the things I wanted to say, I appreciate Councilor Vodke's work and just making this happen. But the biggest thing that I am grateful for is that in the ordinance it states, and like you say, I have it up on my laptop here, I believe, but I'm not sure if you have the final reading. But if you're parked in a manner impeding a fire truck, ambulance, maintenance vehicle, or the police deem you as doing so, you can be immediately towed. We don't have to wait 4 hours. We don't have to wait 12 hours. We don't have to declare snow emergency. If you're parking in a manner that cannot get a police truck, police or fire truck to it, you're immediately towed. So that's the one thing I would emphasize on it, and I support.
So
that's a good one. That's a good one because I know a lot of our streets are narrow, like Adam was saying, and they park on both sides of the street, and you can't get through there if there was a fire or a medical emergency. So that's a great change. Thanks.
Yeah. So Tracy, to answer your question, we just cleared up some language about the no parking on Lake Street from where it was. And Brian, correct me if I say any of this incorrectly. And then we added violating vehicles and removal to it, and that's where we put the language in for the towing. So if a person if there's belief that they have 5 unpaid parking tickets, they can be towed. If they're unlawfully parked or they're impeding the emergency vehicle, including garbage trucks, because of our new garbage system, that could come into play. So we added that in there. And then there's maybe one other reason that gives the police the ability to tow, but they do have to fill out a tow report before it can be towed as well. And we're not looking to just strictly tow vehicles here. They have the discretion to either cite a vehicle or tow it if it's impeding.
Thank you for that.
Council, anything else?
I have a question for Larry or Councilor Vaki.
Go ahead, Jim.
About this. So from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., no parking on Main Street, right?
Correct.
So where do firefighters park when the pager goes off at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Well, that Councilor Varda, that would just be an exception, to the rule. That it's emergency response, that type of thing. And then, we just work around that. That's emergency response. That's really no problem. And it's, you know, that may never happen in the next 10 years, or it could happen twice next year. It's just a matter of chance, really, when it comes to that.
Okay.
Brian, do we need to add anything for that? Now that he brought that up? Vern is saying no, so.
Thank you, Counselor. So just a short comment from me on kind of what for me is the big add here. What we've done with this ordinance now, we've incorporated the ability or clarified, I guess, the ability to remove violating vehicles. And what my intent was, is to give the greatest authority and greatest discretion that we can and make this the most effective tool that we can. Obviously, the big goal, the underlying spirit of this ordinance, as we've amended it, is to give our PD and our local government a tool to make sure that we can efficiently accomplish the goals and duties that we have to discharge as a city. And I'm comfortable incorporating by reference certain authorities and giving the maximum amount of authority we can, because Chief Manor and his officers, I believe, will use this discretion wisely. And it's because of that I don't believe we need to add any additional language. I mean, obviously, our PD knows that if our firefighters are there to get to an emergency more quickly, we're not going to pull those vehicles. It's giving an authority and allowing the common sense to use it appropriately. And I think that I've got no problems with that authority, and I'm sure that our folks will use it completely appropriately.
Just have something to say, Mr. Mayor, just quick.
Yes, go ahead.
With Councillor Varda, you know, he did have, that was a good thing to talk about. Maybe you guys could just get stickers put in the front there saying that you are a EMS or firefighter or whatever. So, you know, but then I also had a little question about, what about the people that live on Main Street? You know, what do they do? What are they going to do for parking? And Larry, you start plowing at what time? 3 or 4?
Yeah, 3 a.m. we start.
24 hours. You
know what I've been asked the question, Counselor, and what I say is 6 months out of the year right now, they're not allowed to park there, and they make adjustments. They park in the parking lot behind. They park on the side streets. Maybe they have to make more of an effort to park behind their building and plow, or maybe have to hire a service to make sure it's opened up for their extra space that they're needed. But really, they're parking there 6 months of the year already, so this is just year round now. So,
Council, anything else? I think we're still looking for a motion for the first reading.
I'll make that motion. It's Councillor Campbell.
Support, Councillor Varda.
Okay, motion was made by Councillor Campbell, second by Councillor Varda. We should get a number on this thing for the next, all right?
Yep.
Not ordinance number, do I? Or is it on the final document here?
No, it's not. I just looked.
Okay, so yeah, so when we bring it back, we got to make sure we get that filled in. So if there's no other discussion, we got to take a vote on the first reading.
Councillor Lamb.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Vaki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you, Travis, for all of that.
Thanks, everybody.
Away with the geese.
They couldn't pick up a better name for their company. I know, I'm certain that they spent more time getting a product than they did with the name, but exactly what it sounds like. I think that we need to do something with this geese, these geese. You know, we talked about it before. It's a migratory bird. It's hard, but it's a nuisance. The lake walk is filthy. It's, you know, it's a problem for the people that use it. It's an amenity for the citizens and for the travelers that come here, and these geese are a nuisance. And you're going to hear me talk a lot coming up here in the future of, you know, growing and bringing more people in. These next 2 years will be very big to that. So one thing we're going to do, and I've heard a lot of people ask before, why don't we get this lake swimmable? I don't know how we can get this lake swimmable when we have geese that are all over the place. They contribute 3 to 5 pounds of feces a day for each goose. It's insane. So Larry and Bill already had this information because they've received complaints in the past. I got the information from them because I was calling on some complaints that I had received. So this is a amber beacon that goes in the lake. You space mode every 100 yards around the lake. It flashes at night, solar powered, 2-year warranty. If anything breaks on the light, you just take it off, send them just the light, they replace it back for you. But with geese, they have special eyelids, or they're different than other types of animals and birds, but they're very sensitive. So this flashing light all night, drives them crazy. It keeps them up, irritated, and then they leave. I was told that this wouldn't be, an issue to residents around the lake. It wouldn't be flashing in people's windows at night, but I really think it's something that we should look at. And there's a 180 days return policy. So we have to use them for at least 90 before we make up our minds. But then we have 180 days to get them back to them if we choose that they do not work. They said they have a less than a 4% return. So I would think that's pretty good. But, I really think we need to do something. We're advertising our lake walk, and you have to, it's like a hopscotch board trying to get around there of the droppings. And now we have people feeding them right outside their vehicles along the shoulder of the curbs. Now geese are walking out in front of traffic. I haven't seen any hit this year, but last year one had a damaged wing, and I could walk down this street right now and just lop off their heads. I hate the geese, but I don't want to see any of them suffer. I really don't. It's just, and people are, they're not using common sense, and they're drawing geese into a hazardous area. So I think we need to do something to get them out of here so we can use our lake, utilize our lake path. So I am hoping that we can buy the
Are you looking for a motion, Adam, or what do you propose?
I'm looking for someone, yeah.
Can you let us know what you're proposing?
Was I rambling? I'm proposing that we buy for $8,338 enough beacons to go around the lake and set up, and they can ship probably by the end of the week. We should have them by next week, and Larry can get them in.
Sounds like a motion to me.
I make that motion.
Support.
And I apologize for rambling.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing, my only concern, I think, is going to be how we actually interact with our fishermen and everything else. They're lining the shore. How far out are they? I seen a picture, but
that's pretty much our choice. You just kind of put them out. I don't think they're gonna inhibit fishing in any way. It's a small little beacon. All we got to do is put a cinder block in the water and a rope tied to it with enough slack, so in case the water rises, that it doesn't get held under the water.
Yeah, I would actually tell you that we should look at if it's a not a design issue with how you use them, but to keep them far enough away so that casting a fishing rod, you're farther away than.
Mayor, there, if you look on page 86, there's a small map of one of the portion there, over by the Heritage Manor there, and they do a free design. They tell you, they want 100% positive feedback on their product too. So they actually tell you where to place the unit. So within you can move it around a little bit if there's a hot spot.
But have 20 daredevils hanging off the thing either,
Right. I wouldn't put it right at the end of the dock. I would tell you that. I would give you that.
So
I wouldn't put it in casting. I wouldn't put it in casting distance of a dock.
Yeah, I can't even go grocery shopping anymore because I got to talk about these geese every time I'm in there. So I'm certainly not against it.
I've been listening to him since one of the first conversations I had with Bill when I started these geese. All they do is hear about the geese. So I support it.
Pastor Eric at the Baptist Church called a couple times about holding services and asking what could be allowed and everything. And he'd always start his conversation with, "I didn't call about the geese." So he's one of them. I think he'd welcome it. So, Council, if there's nothing else, we do have a motion and support to purchase the beacons and give them a whirl. It sounds like they got a pretty good return policy if they don't work for us. So, Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Councilor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye. Thanks, Adam.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Redhead Mountain Bike Facebook page. Adam, before you start, when we were talking about this, I usually meet with Margaret and Bill if I'm available to go over the agenda just so I understand what's on it before it's turned out. And are you aware that Redhead has a Redhead Mountain Bike Facebook page already?
I was after I had already talked to Bill. See, I'm a little bit older and I don't abbreviate everything like some of these youngsters do. So when I was searching for the Redhead Mountain Bike Park, I didn't put MTB Park. So so this is going to be more informational than any type of action, but I do have a little bit of information.
Yep, go ahead.
So I did reach out to that Facebook page and I asked who the operators are, or who runs it, and it's actually it's a volunteer-run page, but I think Jordan Metza does a lot of it, and he works at the MDC up there. And so the reason I brought this up is because if this is going to be our park that we're taking ownership of, we should be utilizing, and like I said, I didn't know this page existed, but I would hope to get a page like this and utilize it to promote Chisholm. And not to take anything away from MDC or, the Rustic Pig or the gift shop up there, but they're going to have a lot of business just the way it is. That's just the way it's going to be. So we're going to have a lot of struggle getting people across the highway. That was my thought on this. So I did reach out to Jordan. He is definitely willing to have conversations. I think that once we do have an EDA person in a director, hopefully that happens later on this evening, but the marketing aspect and the collaboration, he's absolutely on board with doing that. So I think this will be something that we'll bring up and maybe have a committee formed in September to work with them. So that's
Sorry, it was ringing. Yeah, this is good. I think, Brian, you're on here with us yet. Are there some a couple things I got? The first one would be, should we be linking this thing to our Facebook page if we haven't already, would be number one. And number two, are there some recommendations that Brian made to us in the past about our own Facebook page that we should be forwarding to the administrators of the Redhead Facebook page so that they're doing what the attorney would recommend or not doing what the attorney wouldn't recommend or whatnot? Brian, you any thoughts on that?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think there's any problem if there's an existing Redhead Mountain Bike page. I don't think there's any problem with us connecting the two pages. With regard to just kind of general social media guidelines, I think there are some precautions that should be taken. Obviously, as a city, we've got to make sure that we monitor who can post, how posts are made, and what kind of posts, the content of the posts that go up on pages that are controlled by the city. Because obviously if we don't, it can create some liability for us. So there would be some recommendations or some guidance that should be followed if we're running a city page to promote the Redhead Bike Trail.
No. Question for you. How does that work if we're not the ones running the page? And if it's a volunteer run page that started before we ever got involved?
I can answer that question.
Go ahead, April.
Okay, so I'm an administrator on 3 different pages for a different city. There's no problem, like Attorney Lindsay said, of connecting these 2 pages, the Redhead and the city Facebook, okay? There could be one administrator for these 2 pages. You just flip back and forth. It's really simple, very easy. So we can get the administrative capabilities from MDC and sign on. And if we want to turn off their administrator capabilities and completely just run it by the city, we can do that. But we need to get their password and the email that they use, and we can change it.
So that it's not actually run by the MDC. Jordan Metza just happens to work for the MDC, but he's not doing it for the MDC. It's done as a volunteer. He's an enthusiast.
On the side.
They had just started this Facebook page.
If you guys want me to, I don't mind contacting Jordan Metza and then contacting Bill and finding out the passwords and stuff for Facebook for the city and the passwords and Facebook information from Jordan and connecting them both up. I have no problem doing that for the city of Chisholm. If you would like to do that.
Just my 2 cents for April. I don't know that necessarily need control of it. We just want to make sure they're doing what you're doing it appropriately, because it's kind of a city of Chisholm park. So having the login information may be important, but I think it's okay if they're doing the administration. In my opinion, it's just we got to be able to monitor what they're doing to make sure they're not doing something that would be unacceptable as a city to have out there.
I agree, Mr. Mayor. But you can have like 3 or 4 admins on that one page, No,
I would be 100% okay with at least reaching out to them and let them know that what our concerns are. They'll probably happily make you an administrator on the page, and we can, then our city has the ability to do whatever, look at it. If there's something on there where that's something that's inappropriate that comes up, we can remove it. So, Council, somebody want to direct April to reach out to Mr. Metza? And
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Brian.
Just a couple of additional thoughts. I think one thing that we've got to be careful of here is while we are, once with the Redhead Trail up and running, obviously the city takes control of that. That being said, we've got to be careful how we interact with folks. I mean, Mr. Metza has gone out and started a page, and I think it's completely appropriate for us to reach out to him, talk with him. At the end of the day, we'll see where those conversations are. The flip side, or the converse of this, is that nothing would prevent us as a city from starting, the City of Chisholm official Redhead Mountain Bike Trail page, and kind of operating our own. And those are things that obviously we should coordinate. And if we feel that there's anything with the existing page that could cause us a little bit of heartburn, we could ask him to change his practice, but at the end of the day, our ability to force that may not be too good. We may just want to get out and advertise and make sure that people know that the official page that's controlled by the city and represents the park from the owner's side is doing the right stuff. So just kind of a couple of cents there, but absolutely, I think reaching out and having a conversation is a good start.
Nothing wrong with asking.
Yeah, April, so you'd be willing to reach out to Mr. Metz and just share our concerns with him, and
absolutely. I'll get in touch with Adam and get numbers and stuff like that.
And no problem. We won't do anything until we talk about it next meeting or something. So
sure.
I don't think we need to do anything with that. You're authorized to do that. You're fine. Once you do that, get back to us. We're not going to make any changes till we talk about it anyway. So,
hey, April, just a comment. Make sure to tell them that we hopefully, knock on wood, approved our economic development person, and so make sure he has her name, because she would be the one that would be the admin, I would think, on our end.
I agree.
Perfect. Okay, so we don't really need to do anything on that right now. Adam, does that suffice what you were looking for there?
Absolutely.
Okay. April, we'll wait to hear how your conversation goes with Mr. Metza, and we'll take it up next meeting. Margaret, you want to make a note? And we're going to talk about it a little bit more later on. Camp Life online reservation system, Adam.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. We have a campground now. We need a reservation system. Again, our committee has been working very, 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 very hard. Larry, Eileen, April, Bill. So we want to get this Camp Life reservation system up. And as soon as we do so, this is going to be great, because if we decide to put campsites anywhere else in the city, we can just plug them in there. Now that we get the geese gone, maybe we have some campsites around the lake for people, and they can just go online and grab a spot, or eventually maybe up at the Redhead. But so this is probably the best one that we found. It's got a $450 setup charge, a $35 monthly fee to run. Gilbert uses this, Mountain Iron uses this, so I think it's a good idea to get this running right away.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion for the standard plan of $35 a month for the setup fee of $450.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Fountain. Just a comment, Larry, maybe more for you, Bill, Eileen. I don't know if Eileen's on tonight or not, but anyway, you know, my biggest concern is going to be, you know, we knew about what that campground profits at the end of a year, you know, when we took it over from the lock. And so when we get to budget times, we got to really look at what these numbers, we'll have a pretty good idea where we're at by budget time on how things are going up there. We've had a few months and we'll know what this program is costing us. We know we got some advertising we do on some of the signs with the, in addition, or kind of side by side with the museum and some other things. So that's all I'd be looking for. I think it's a great system. We have to do it. It's going to help our staff. And I mean, a lot of people don't even know we have a cell phone basically that somebody's been taking home on the weekends to make sure we don't miss a reservation right now. So and Larry that's been doing it. So
I have another question. For the campground committee, you know, this is something that we thought we should have jumped on right away. And, you know, I'd say some of us were kind of leading both ways and we went to our attorney for this, but is this something that our committee could have just done? Can we pull the trigger on something like this, or is it spending money? And no, and we just want some guidance because, you know, we also have to look at updating the sign. Are we gonna have to do, and we were kind of thinking that the committee was formed so we could fast line some of this stuff. You know, do we have the authority to get a new campground sign, or does everything want to come up to council?
My opinion, if it's kind of a major thing, this is a kind of a major thing. I think a sign would be a kind of a major thing. I know you guys got some immediate problems with that Good Sam sign and stuff up there. So I know you guys are looking at that already. So that's good. Just some of the major things, just so we know. I would hope the council always backs the committee and it's that easy. Because we should be, because that's
Mr. Mayor, I think there's a dollar amount that's got to be approved by the council. I don't know what that dollar amount is, but certain dollar amounts got to come through the council, if I remember right.
Yeah, but it's pretty simple. About $5,000.
I think it is, yeah. And also, I want to say, you know, you're talking about comparison and budgets and stuff this year. I don't think it's going to be a fair comparison because we got late starting with this COVID stuff. You know, we weren't really taking money in like we should have early on, May, June. Right. I mean, so
more of our, you know, having a young person up there taking reservations and stuff, or being the kind of camp host like we just kind of accidentally stumbled into, might be a great thing. Come next year, we might want to keep doing that. You know, we got this program. Some of these, I mean, we know, you know, we have a pretty good sense in years of history of what the revenue should be. And when we finally get that other area cleaned out and we add sites, we'll know, you know, the thing's pretty much full all the time. So, yeah, I'm not actually looking at more what our budget is, you know, what we're spending. So, yeah.
Mayor, I would support what you said, Mayor, and I would just add that the system we've had demonstrations of the system. We can generate reports. We can do all this stuff like that to show everybody. We won't have a good representative this year, of course, like Councillor Campbell said, but this will be the backbone of our system. You know, the lands, the past owner there, they were there. They were the owner. They were there all the time. We don't have that. You know, so this is the backbone of the campground, and it's gonna be great from here on out after we get going on this. So appreciate the support.
All right, if there's nothing else, we'll take a vote. We do have motion and support to move forward with the Camp Life reservation system, I believe.
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Baki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you, Adam, for all your items. Bill, resolution 0720-54. Finally we're here. Good evening.
Good evening. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, on behalf of the hiring committee, put in front of you a recommendation for the approval of the attached resolution number 0720-54 and the proposed negotiated 3-year contract to hire Stephanie Scraba to the position of Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Chisholm.
Council looking for a motion to hire Stephanie.
Make that motion because I trust that committee wholeheartly. I've been waiting for this forever. So I make that motion, Mayor.
Well, you haven't been ever. You're new like me. But okay, motion made by Councillor Fountain. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that, Councillor Campbell.
Okay, Councillor Campbell seconded that. Council, any other discussions on that?
Just a quick discussion for me, Mr. Mayor. I talked to Councillor Campbell the other day, and something that did come up. Well, I think whenever we do a hire like this, and we do have a committee, we trust our committee, but it would be good for the rest of the council to know, I think, the resume of the person that we decided to pick, and just kind of their background, because nobody else up there besides Travis and I, got to see this. Bill, excuse me, and Shannon and Jim. So never mind, there's a bunch of us. But for everybody else, just a little background. So this was one of the only candidates that had, a marketing background, and they had a community development background and business background. So this is going to be a really good choice for the city. But I think that information would be pertinent to the rest of the council when they go to make this decision. Otherwise, you're right. You are just hiring based on the committee, and you have no other knowledge of it. So maybe going forward, we could add that in when we do these hires. But thank you very much for your support, April.
All right, so we do have motion and support to offer that job to Stephanie. If there's no other discussion, we'll take a motion, or we'll take a vote, please, Margaret.
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye. Councillor
Baki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Bill Resolution 0720-55, apply for and accept Iron Range Resource IRRB grant for adverse business impact from COVID-19 and business support for Red Ed.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, on page 106, in the memo, I talked a little bit about the uniqueness of this grant. And that it's a 1-for-4 match. Usually the IRRB, it's a 1-to-1 match. And so the request that was submitted was for $200,000, of which the city would need to match $50,000. So 1-for-4 match. There was $2 million in the pot. And because time was of the essence, this is something that, on behalf of the city, I applied for because there were deadlines, and so we can always not accept the funds, but in the application, 1/3 of the money was allocated to COVID relief for existing businesses, 1/3 to existing businesses for business retention and expansion due to the anticipated influx of people in business to the community due to the Redhead Mountain Bike Park, and then another 1/3 for new business development anticipated due to the influx of people in the community due to the Redhead Mountain Bike Park. So when the grant application was submitted, it was laid out 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. So, so I was informed because of the deadline. I put in the application, and I was informed last Friday that if we so choose to accept, we received $125,000 grant. There were $3.4 million of requests for $2 million, and our allocation was $125,000. So with that, I would recommend that we approve resolution 0720-55 that would allow us to accept the funding of $125,000.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 0720-55.
Okay, is there
second that, and I got a question for Mr. Manny.
Go ahead, April.
The request initially that you did, which is great, for the $200,000. And you said we're going to get $125,000, correct, Mr. Manny?
Correct.
So what is the match that we need to do? Is it still $50,000?
No, it's not.
Or is it going to change to $25,000?
The match is going to be $31,250.
That is great news. Good job, Mr. Manny. I appreciate that. Excellent work.
Thank you.
Even got myself and Chairman Penny to write a letter.
Okay. And also, Mr. Mayor, Superintendent Dr. Blanchard from the school wrote us a letter, and also the chairman of the Chisholm Foundation, whose name escapes me, and I apologize for that. But so we did have 4 letters of support from the mayor, director of the EDA, from Superintendent Blanchard, and from the Chisholm Foundation.
Jay.
Okay, so do we have...
What's his name, Travis?
It's Jay. His name is Jay.
Okay, thank you.
G. Madigan.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we do have a motion and support to approve resolution 0720-55 and accept the grant. If there's no further discussion, Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell. Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Bill, Community Development Grant Agreement for water main looping.
Okay, so the CDBG Community Block Grant, which the council has already approved for the water main looping for the area that is adjacent and adjacent to the public safety building. And so what this document is the grant agreement. The project is complete. At the last meeting, you authorized payment number 1 of the council. And so we were awarded the $50,000. So what this is approval of the agreement between basically between the city and the CDBG, so that we're able to obtain our $50,000 that was awarded to us.
Okay, so I'm looking for that.
I'll make the motion to accept the grant, $50,000 grant from the CDBG.
Second, wake up, everybody.
I'll second that. This is Counselor Campbell.
We have a motion by Councilor Lance, and Councilor Fountain did get ahead of you there, Trace. So we'll, any other discussion on this? It's all good stuff. Like to see the money keep coming. We certainly can need it. We got a aggressive group here. If there's no other discussion, Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Counselor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Aye.
Counselor Vaki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. That motion passed. That was kind of funny. April froze in like a funny face there on my screen, so I lost my train of thought.
Mr. Mayor, is it my internet connection or yours? Or is everybody's having trouble? Because my internet is going in and out.
People are freezing quite a bit. They must be telling me how to wrap this thing up. So, Bill, the City of Chisholm East entrance sign from our beautification committee, I think it is.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll try to be brief. This gets to be a little involved. As you all recall, we were approached by the Chisholm Beautification Committee, which we all know has done a wonderful job over the years for the city in obtaining funding and doing projects on behalf of the city. And if you recall, it was back in February 26th meeting, where the beautification committee came with their representatives from Architectural Resources, and they had a nice big drawing of what the sign looked like. And they mentioned that at that time, I believe that they were looking at an estimated cost in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. And you as a council decided to, as a promotion, as a promotional item for the city of Chisholm, that the city would pay any difference that the beautification committee was unable to fundraise. So in the packet on page 128 is a projected budget from Architectural Resources. And the item here on the agenda has to do with item number 1 in that projected budget, which is the sign fabrication and installation, a quote from Jones Sign. When the initial signage proposal came to the beautification committee, they wanted somebody from the beautification committee to sign off on it. The beautification committee approached me and asked what should be done. I had conversations with them, and being that the information that the beautification committee relayed to me was what they had fundraised. So they fundraised $26,000. You can see on page 128 the estimated budget for this sign. The signage proposal from Jones Sign is, just round this off, at $30,000. The site earthwork and landscaping, which the city could do as in kind, we have the equipment and the personnel to do that, is $5,000. The site electrical service, $4,000. The architectural design fees of $5,000 has been paid by the beautification committee from the money they raised, because they're the ones that hired Architectural Resources. Permits and inspections are at $1,000, and then construction contingency at $2,000, for projected budget total of, in round numbers, $47,000. So in my recommendation this evening, and my conversations with the beautification committee, was to change the Jones signage proposal over to the city, because the beautification committee mentioned that this is going to be a city sign, that they are willing to turn over the funds that they've raised to the city. So in my memo, I laid out that that the beautification committee is willing to turn over the remaining $21,015 that they fundraised. And then I put, in a worst case scenario, the city would be responsible for an estimated $20,733.41 based on the projected budget. Of this amount, please note $5,000 is estimated for site earthwork and landscaping, which we should be able to do as an in-kind service. Any grant funds obtained from the IRRB. So back up here for a second, the beautification committee reached out to the IRRB, to Senator Tomassoni, and he said the IRRB has a tourism grant up to $15,000 that the city could apply for. So so that is something that I will do. on behalf of the city, apply for that tourism grant. So in a worst case scenario, if we do not receive any money from the IRRB, the city's portion in round numbers would be $21,000 less the in-kind work of $5,000 that really shouldn't cost us $5,000 as a worst case scenario. Best case scenario, if we were to get the $15,000 grant from the IRRB, then we're looking at the city's portion of $5,000 in kind for the site, the earthwork and the site work, and then $1,000 bill after that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Campbell.
So what are we looking for here? For council to approve $29,672.46? Is that what we're looking at?
That's Councilor Campbell. That's what we're looking at because I felt it appropriate that we change the Jones Sign agreement from the beautification committee over to the city, because now this is beyond their level of expertise, and with Larry Folstead and the people that we have, I mean, I feel that we need to turn this over to our direction and our management of this at this point in time.
So what kind of a motion are we looking for, Bill?
I'm looking for a motion to approve the signage proposal from Jones Sign in the amount of $29,672.46.
Okay, I'll make that motion to approve the $29,672.46 from Jones Sign.
Okay, we have a motion, a second for that.
Support.
Supported by Councilor Lance. And Bill, and then you're gonna apply for that grant with Iron Range Resources?
Correct. And Mr. Mayor, you and the council have already approved any difference the city would pick up as a promotional item for the city. But I will do everything I can to obtain additional funding to help us pay for this.
Do you want my motion to direct him to go for that money, or?
Nah, okay. He can do it. He's authorized to do it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we have motion support. Any other discussion, council? I think it's a nice sign. I thank the beautification committee for putting the whole project together for us. It's going to look nice out there. So, you know, and we may be able to almost offset the cost completely here. So good idea. Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Councilor Lance.
Aye.
Councilor Fountain.
Aye.
Councilor Bakke.
Aye.
Councilor Varda.
Aye.
Councilor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Ciampa.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Bill, the last one, you'll have to help me with this, but basically we're trying to pledge $300,000 to apply for a grant of $1.5 million to do some broadband stuff, but it's kind of new, so I'll let you explain it all.
Mr. Mayor and the council, I apologize for this just coming out today, but a lot of this COVID-related items are coming in, you know, by the day, and there isn't a whole lot of time to turn this stuff around. The EDA, CD, this is coming through the EDA, CDA. There was a special meeting on Monday with the consultants that Councilor Lance talked about earlier that the EDA, CDA hired. And when Councilor Lance had mentioned that that we had $9,200 into the consultants, part of what the consultants worked on was a master plan. And part of the master plan is they identified there's federal EDA money that is out there through the CARES Act. This is a 1-for-5 match in the fact that there's a grant that's available, and there's a one-page summary that the consultants put together that was sent out this afternoon. Hopefully everybody received that in your email, and I apologize for this, the delay in getting this out, but the EDA CDA special meeting was just on Monday, and then the consultants put this together and got it out to me today. In a nutshell, what the city's obligation would be is that the city would put out a letter, a commitment for $300,000, which we're fortunate to have reserved. Because at first, the consultant said, well, if you take $300,000 of your $371,000 of CARES Act funding and put that aside. And my comment was, we're fortunate that we have reserves. If the council elects to set aside $300,000 of the $371 for that, that's up to the council. But for right now, until we figure out how we're going to spend the CARES Act money, the only thing that we need to do is, as it says in the documentation, is a letter of commitment for 20% of 1.2 million, which totals the 1.5 million. So we just have to put a letter of commitment for 300,000. Of course, if we don't get the grant, we're not out the 300,000. If we do get the grant, then we have to put in 300,000, and we get on top of that, we get 1.2 million. The cost to the city for this, there's an engineering plan that has to go along with this grant, which would be 20,000, which could be paid with our COVID funds. So just to reiterate, we have the 371,000 through the CARES Act, and then that IRRB, that taconite relief funding, a third of that is another 41,000. So we do have, additional COVID money that could pay the $20,000 for the engineering study in some form or fashion, or possibly even the EDA, CDA could pay it out of the money that the council elected to provide them at the last meeting for COVID. And so, so basically what the motion becomes is that the city provide a letter of commitment for 300,000 to apply for the federal EDA grant of 1.2 million, and then that we use some form of the COVID funding or EDA funds to pay the engineer plan development of 20,000. And then there, of course, there would be costs to the consultants, which I don't have the exact number because I don't know what's involved in writing this grant. But that also could be covered under COVID money to pay the consultants for writing this grant. The purpose is, and this is one of the main things that were identified by the consultants. If you happen to have the email that Margaret sent out this afternoon, what this does is it creates a Wi-Fi mesh network in the community, which allows for easier distance learning for students with limited bandwidth. It increases work from home capacity or capability. It increases technology access for local business that require faster internet speeds to communicate with customers without face-to-face contact. It would provide downtown public Wi-Fi. Future residual income as a public utility, because this Wi-Fi service, this Wi-Fi mesh is something that could be sold to other entities to create revenue. There's potential connection to security cameras, police communications, paramedics, expansion opportunity to Balkan, use for tourism awareness, and incentivization for future economic development. So right now, again, just the commitment would be a letter of commitment for 300,000 if we were to get the grant, which is 20% of the 1.2 million, and spending 20,000 out of COVID funding out of one of the two sources we have available now, plus the consultants to go after this grant money.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor.
I will make that motion to write a letter of intent for $300,000, or letter of commitment, excuse me, for $300,000 to apply for the $1.2 million grant. In addition, pay the $20,000 engineering portion and any consulting fees out of a COVID fund.
Travis, and your intention with that motion is to take the 300,000 out of our reserves, correct, and leave the CARES money separate?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a second for Travis's motion?
Support.
Okay, motion was made by Councillor Vaki, seconded by Councillor Lance. Council, further discussion. I think this is a great thing, and I think we're going to need it come the school year. So,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Campbell.
Do you think that we're going to be getting the engineering plan developed for that 20,000 in time by the time we have to use that COVID money? What was it, by November? You think that can all get done by then?
Yeah, my understanding, and Councilors Lance and Vaki, if I misstate this, please help me out. My understanding, this is a local engineer that somebody, if this had to go out, I'm trying to remember the exact number, but this engineering study normally would cost like in excess of $50,000, and we're getting a deal on this, and this is something that was identified by the consultants that is qualified to do this, and it would have to be done. The engineering study has to go in with the grant application, so it has to be done like right away.
Okay, thank you.
I have a statement. Also, just so this is planning for right now, this is planning for the future, this is awesome. This is going to be great for our town. One thing I just keep in mind with keep this plan, Councillor Vaki and Bill, when you guys are looking for, internet at the press box or internet at the campground, we're going to be covered right here under this plan. So before we spend a bunch of money trying to get another firm trying to get internet there, this is something that we should be looking at, not too far off the horizon.
And our police cameras, did they ever order those, Vern?
That's still in the works, but he's working on it.
All right, good. We have a motion to support. Anything else, Council? If not, we'll take a vote.
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Vaki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye, the motion passes. That's going to be a great thing for the community. I agree. All right, first item under myself, Resolution 0720-56, extend our local emergency to August 12th unless earlier canceled by subsequent action such as the governor's executive order or his state of emergency being canceled. So I think this is something we need to continue to do so we can continue with our COVID requests for funding and things like that. So I'd entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second that, Councillor Campbell.
All right, motion by Councillor Lance, seconded by Councillor Campbell. Further discussion on that item? Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Councillor Fountain.
Aye.
Councillor Vaki.
Aye.
Councillor Varda.
Aye.
Councillor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye, that motion passes. Thank you. Appointment to the HRA board. I did something kind of weird here I haven't done probably ever in all my time serving. I didn't know this individual. The individual is actually a resident of one of the HRA facilities. So I did actually send an email to this individual because I don't know her. I told her what she potentially could be getting herself into because as a resident, she's going to be making decisions that affect her own, possibly her own pocketbook, just like we do on the council. And she may end up being the sounding board for other residents just because she's more available than maybe the rest of the board. She sent me a really nice email back. My whole intention is I want to come there and try to help you. And she understands that. So I'm going to recommend that we put Lindsay Meralt on the HRA. Margaret, do you know what's a term on the HRA? 3 years? 5
years.
5 years? So I would entertain a motion to appoint her for a 5-year term on the HRA board. We need the help there.
I'll make that motion to appoint Lindsay Marld onto the HRA board.
Support.
A motion by Councillor Lance and seconded by Councillor Vaki. Further discussion? Okay, Margaret, could you take a vote, please?
Councillor Lance.
Aye.
Counselor Fountain.
Nay.
Counselor Baki.
Aye.
Counselor Varda.
Aye.
Counselor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Last item, we're going to get these numbers out to you now. Bill and I met with Robert Krzyzanowski this morning just to look at his final numbers. We just told him we want to make sure they're clear to the council. They were going to get them out to you. We asked him when we could have a meeting with the council. His best date, I mentioned to him that we don't actually have a council meeting till the 12th after tonight. His best day to meet was August 5th. I told him, something about 5 o'clock. I don't know how that falls with the council. I thought, since we weren't all in that meeting, but we'd be doing a Zoom meeting. And I'm hoping the council is available to do it August 5th at 5 p.m.
I'm open that day at 5 p.m.
I'm okay with that, Dave.
Bill, was that the correct time, right? I told him about 5 o'clock.
Yes, Mayor. Wednesday, August 5th at 5 o'clock via Zoom.
So council, I'll just entertain a motion, and as soon as Bill gets basically he was trying to get them all on one sheet so it's clear because we have been asking for different ways we could reduce the cost if we needed to. So we're going to talk, he's going to go through the whole project with us. We're going to talk about some of these cost savings we could do if we made some changes is the main thing for the meeting. Get us all back up to speed. I think you're going to be, you're going to like this, Robert Krzyzanowski. You're really going to. Everybody keeps freezing up here. So motion to have that meeting on Wednesday, August 5th at 5 p.m. with 5 Bugles.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Councilor Lance, second for that.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilor Campbell. Further discussion by the council? Anything you'd like to see? Like I said, basically he's got the projected costs, some things that we can do if we need to make arrangements to try to get this building built. It sounds like listening to what Bill had to say earlier. I mean, it could be September before at this point before we find out if we're in this bonding bill. It's just very unfortunate. It really is. But it was going to be a 2021 project anyway because it's late in the year, so I don't think it ain't hurt anything. If not, we'll take a vote to have the meeting that day and that time.
Councilor Lance.
Aye.
Councilor Fountain.
Aye.
Councilor Baki.
Aye.
Councilor Varda.
Aye.
Councilor Campbell.
Aye.
Mayor Champa.
Aye. That motion passed. Let me, just miscellaneous, let me find an email here. We got an email. I got an email from Bill about the Chisholm Airport Authority. They're asking if we want to hold that. Let me find it here. I got to find the email. But anyway, Bill sent it to me. He wanted to know what I thought about it. Right here. Okay, so the Chisholm Airport Authority sent Bill an email saying for our August 17th meeting, how do you want to hold the thing? We could find a building here probably big enough you want to hold face-to-face. I told Bill that we're not even holding our own council meetings face-to-face right now, and the council probably would want to stick with a Zoom meeting. But how does the council feel about that August 17th meeting? As long as we got you here, I'm sure Bill already reached back out to him and said, let's look at a Zoom first. But I also did tell Bill, if they got a building big enough where we can all sit 10 feet apart, I don't have a problem with that either myself. So, council, thoughts?
Zoom is fine with me. Zoom is fine with me.
Who else?
Zoom.
Face-to-face is fine with me.
Yeah, I'm fine. Face.
Mr. Mayor, if I may make a comment, one thing that may change the face-to-face now is with the new executive order today, everybody would have to wear masks during that meeting, which would be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, I won't go if we do it face-to-face, just so you know.
Okay.
Then I think we should do a Zoom.
What time is that at?
6 o'clock.
5 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay, I don't think I'll be there. So just a heads up.
You know, and like I said, we'd be meeting, that's the meeting with the budget meeting with the Hibbing and Airport Authority to go through their budget, and then we got to take it back to approve their budget levy and stuff. So, okay, so Bill, I think we're going to need to do it Zoom. I don't know if you've reached out to him yet after you and I exchanged an email, but so that'd be good. And then it just came to my attention. I didn't know what Bill was going to do about this, but I want to make sure by next meeting we at least talk about it. I was told this week that we have not been getting paid for fire service for the community of Balkan because something happened back in 2018, and the conversation ended, and then we never finalized the deal back then. But in any case, we need to we got to get that discussion open back up with Balkan and figure out what they should be paid for fire protection.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
I had some misinformation. We have been getting paid from Balkan. The contract is expired. We've been getting paid under the contract. And so what I would like to do is bring back a recommendation to the next council meeting. I thank Larry Folstead and Chief Brown have had some conversations about what we need to do there. And we have been getting paid. And I would like to bring back at the next meeting a recommendation on what we do with the contract.
Bill, is that going to be on anyway?
Is that what, Mayor?
Is it going to be 2021 anyway?
Well,
are we going to let 20?
It'll probably be for the rest of this year. Let's do this, and then we'll negotiate a new contract.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll talk to Chief Brown and Larry. They both have input for me. You know, I should say they have been helping me out with this, and I thank them for that. But that'll come back to the next meeting. But we have been getting paid, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor, let me apologize to you and Administrator Manny that we have been getting paid, which was a miscommunication. And then I actually have the new drafted agreement for the 2-year extension with Chief Brown's blessing to present to Administrator Manny and Attorney Lindsay. And that's actually in my inbox. It just hasn't been forwarded yet. So we expect to have that to the council in the next meeting.
So let me add one more thing, and then if the council has anything else. So I got a couple of concerns that came up while we were having a meeting here today. When Councilperson Bakke started talking about the Kiwanis and the football quarterback COVID plans. You know, the Chamber of Commerce and the Dock Moonlight Grams is having a ATV ride that the ATV club is kind of putting on. They've done it every year or for the last few years as part of Dock Moonlight Grams. Should we be trying to get a COVID plan together? I know we don't have another council meeting, but if it fits what Bill and Attorney Lindsay are trying to outline everything after, I mean, they can approve it to let it go anyway. Should we be doing something with the ATV club? And I've mentioned it a couple of times, you know, the snore ride is still on. They're trying to have this thing, and he's going to be coming to the council with probably at the next meeting to try to ask for some help from the council with closing some streets and asking for approval to do this. And should I be recommending that he put together a COVID plan at the same time? Maybe this is a question for Brian. I don't know.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the response here is whenever an outside group comes to the city with an ask for the city's assistance, it's my opinion that we don't necessarily have the obligation to get down into the weeds of their COVID plan. But for outside organizations, if they're asking the city for in-kind services or some sort of benefit, I think what those organizations should do is present a COVID plan, let us know that they've got something, and we can make some comments on those plans. But for practical purposes, I think the important issue for us is just that we're asking the question, do you have a COVID plan, and can you provide us a written copy of it so that we can see that you have it? But so I think the simple answer to the question is, yep, if there's any events organized in the city where the city is participating to any extent, we should make sure that there is a COVID plan in place.
Okay. I think that's good enough. Council, do you have anything else we should be talking about coming down? down the road here? While we're on the line, if not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I still want to bring up department head reviews. I know this agenda was big, but I think we need to jump on that this year.
Let's put it on next agenda. Good. I mean, we can talk, at least get a game plan, Jim.
Yep.
All right. I hope the next agenda ain't as big as this one anyway. This is, although there were a lot of great things in this one. So.
And it's not even 8 o'clock, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, this was a great agenda. I loved every second of it. I want every agenda to look like this.
Motion by Councilor Campbell to adjourn. Or second for that.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? All right. Meeting is adjourned unanimously. Everybody have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Goodbye.
Take
Good
care.
job, everybody.
Mask up, Minnesota. Stay safe. I had to.